Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Kitchen Standards and Practices. Today, I have an hors d'oeuvre or an appetizer for you that simply can't be beat. But it can be beat because it's made with beets. Okay, let's get started. So, what I have for you, it's going to be a crostini with chive goat cheese, candied beets, chopped pistachio, and a little bit of orange zest. It's delicious. And for people who don't think they like beets, you'll probably like this one. Just a little bit of history on beets. Okay, Google, what is the nutritional value of beets?
On the website healthline.com, they say, not to mention, they are low in calories and a great source of nutrients, including fiber, folate, and vitamin C. Do you want a little more context?
Okay, Google, thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
Oh, she's sassy today. So, we want to get started. I want to show you how to make the crostini. Okay, so we're going to cut our crostini. So you're going to use a French baguette, and you are going to cut it crosswise this way. If you want to, you can cut your baguette on an angle. You get more surface area that way if you want a slightly larger hors d'oeuvre or appetizer. So, I'll show you how to cut. Okay, so we're using a serrated knife. It's like a little saw. Keeping our knuckles out of the way, we're just going to cut right across, about 1/2-inch pieces. And so we're going to get these all cut up, and then we're going to brush these with olive oil. They're going to go in a 350 oven for about 10 minutes. Keep a check on them. Every oven is different. And just so there's a little color on them and they're slightly crisp. Okay, so for the beet part of our recipe, so we have roasted steamed beets. There's no need to make these on your own. They're in most grocery stores nowadays. They come in a small package, usually in the refrigerated section. So what we want to do is we want to get this into a fine dice. So that's what we're going to do now. So anytime you have anything that's round that you want to cut, what we want to do is we want to get a flat surface on that. So how you do that is you just cut off a little bit so that you have a flat surface. And that way it won't rock on you. So it's just food safety, right? So we're going to cut straight down so that we can create a small dice, right? So now we have laid that way, and then we're going to cut across this way, keeping your knuckles under when you can. So now we have a julienne here, right? So now, to get a fine dice on that, we just line these up as best you can, and now we're just going to cut across this way. So we have about, I don't know, 1/4-inch dice, something like that. So there we have our diced beet, right? So we're just going to keep dicing those up, and then we're going to candy them, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so now that we have diced our beets, we're going to candy our beets. So how we're going to do that is, we're going to take a skillet, we're going to have some brown sugar, we're going to have some butter, a little bit of salt, a little bit of balsamic vinegar at the very end, and a little bit of orange zest, and maybe a little bit of orange juice. We'll see. So what we do is we're going to melt a little bit of butter here in our pan. You're not on me, right? Yeah. A little bit of butter. Don't be afraid of the butter. And we're going to get our brown sugar in there. So what we're doing here is we're kind of creating a little bit of a caramel in a sense. So we just want that to come together. Want that to marry itself and become like a thick glaze for these beets. Okay, so I've got my butter, my brown sugar, some orange juice, some orange zest, pinch of salt in there because we always put salt in sweet things just to bump it up, and a splash of balsamic, a couple of glugs, whatever your heart desires. I'm going to get that going. So we're going to let that rip. As you can see, it's turning into a nice thick glaze here. We have a trail in our pan, and we say that when we have a trail. So now we're just going to add those beautiful beets that we diced up. Add those right into that caramel glaze. And you don't want to, cook this to death because these beets have already been cooked and roasted and steamed. So they're a little fragile, but they're not, they're not going to break apart on you, but just don't cook this forever. You basically just want to get them glazed up. Oh, I lost the beet there. Just want to get them glazed up And you want a little bit of that moisture to cook off because you don't want it to be too syrupy as it sits on your goat cheese, which we're going to get to in a moment, right? So let that do its thing. And this is not a hot hors d'oeuvre, so these don't need to stay warm. Of course, you'll let these cool down before you put them on the goat cheese, otherwise you will have melted goat cheese. Okay, so now we have our goat cheese mixture. So what we have here is a log of goat cheese. You can find this in most every grocery store. And a little trade secret. Often in a recipe in the catering world or restaurant world, goat cheese is sometimes cut with cream cheese. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it is. And it's a great way to sort of save a little money. The cream cheese gives it an added, creaminess, for lack of a better word. So what we're going to do here is we are going to mix this up. You just want to incorporate air into it, so the easiest way to do that, of course, is with your mixer. So here we go. So start it on low. And of course it helps when this is room temperature, which this is. Cream cheese you can leave out overnight. Goat cheese, I wouldn't do that. So it's putting up a bit of a fight here. So obviously we're going to need a little bit of more moisture, right? So because we used orange zest in the beets, we want to just sort of bring those flavors in again. So we're just going to use a little bit of orange juice here, just so it loosens up. Put a little orange juice in there, and then just keep going. So we'll let that go for a little bit. We get that mixed up, and so it's just in a spreadable texture. Okay, so the next step is we're going to add our chopped chives to the goat cheese mixture. The reason we didn't add that in before we mixed it in with the mixer was because we don't want to bruise the chives and leach out any of their green color, because it would tint our cheese mixture. So it just wouldn't be as attractive, but you're just going to do a fine dice on your chives, and you're going to toss those in, and then you can fold them in with a, I got a little big piece there. You can fold them in with your spatula. So you're just folding it in just to incorporate. We'll finish the crostini off with a little sprinkle of chive, so you don't have to go crazy on the chives just yet. You could also put any herbs in here that you like. I just like chives for their little oniony flavor and a little added color. Well, I changed shirts because I didn't like the green one anymore. Look at my Christmas balls. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire, Jack Frost nipping at your nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to make the season bright. Tiny tots with their eyes all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase for kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. They know that Santa's on his way. He's loaded lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh, and every mother's child is gonna spy to see if reindeer really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase for kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times, many ways, Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Did you see my balls? And there you have it. There's our beautiful little candied beet goat cheese crostini. On top I've added some chopped roasted pistachios, a little bit of orange zest, and just a little bit more chive. And that's a beautiful vegetarian, although not vegan, appetizer or hors d'oeuvre for your holiday non-gathering. Do not gather. All right, there we have it. Happy holidays.